So what would you say if I told you that all of this food in the photograph came from a dumpster? In 2005, Americans generated 245 million tons of consumer waste, which is approximately 1,600 pounds per person. 100 billion pounds of food is thrown away every year in the United States alone. We throw away food because we buy too much, and we throw away clothing, electronics, and furniture because they are stylistically obsolete. This wasteful consumerism is bad for the environment. All of this food was obtained through dumpster diving, but it is not the only thing we can do to reduce our negative impact on the environment. Through my work at the Yorkville Common Pantry in New York City, I came into contact with organizations that legally collected food before it was discarded. I saw firsthand the need for recycled clothing and household items. During my speech, I will discuss the origins of dumpster diving, the legitimacy of this practice, and steps communities are taking to reduce their negative impact on the environment. The origins of dumpster diving come from humbling poverty. Since the beginning of time, the abject poor have had to search through garbage for food and clothing. During the Great Depression, many of our grandparents remember seeing homeless scavenge through trash for food, and during the 1970s and 1980s, homelessness became an epidemic affecting 300 to 500,000 people, a previously unheard of number. Many of these homeless people moved to cities because there was enough trash generated by city residents and businesses to help sustain their lives. According to the third annual Homelessness Assessment Report from 2008, there are now approximately 3.5 million homeless people in the United States. Freeganism is a conscious response to wasteful consumerism. Freeganism started during the 1990s. Freegans were originally vegans who wished to expand their philosophy from not just what they ate, but to their entire lifestyle. Freegans do not use animal products and are extremely opposed to the capitalist model which encourages consumerism. Freegans furnish their homes with found objects and buy clothing from secondhand stores to further reduce their carbon footprints. Although it began in New York during the 1990s, it has since become a global movement against consumerism. It can be seen in most European countries and even as far away as Australia. The link between these countries and the United States is that each of these populations have affluent sections. In searching through the garbage, Freegans began to find lots of food that was safe to eat. Restaurants and grocery stores were throwing away food that was before or recently expired, while expiration dates are for sales to reduce food poisoning lawsuits from occurring. It doesn't actually refer to the date that the food expires, but to the date that it is allowed to be sold in stores. This is what one man found outside of a Panera Bread restaurant in Gainesville, Florida. Freegans created an event to garner media attention to the problem of good food being thrown away. They aptly named it dumpster diving as an advertising gimmick, and it stuck. This is how dumpster divers came to exist separately from Freegans. With so much hunger and borderline poverty, many people have taken to dumpster diving without the same political fervor of Freegans. In February of 2008, dumpster diving was the topic on Oprah for an entire week. After this exposure, many people now consider it as acceptable or even a necessary way to obtain food. Ming Lai and China miners are occasional dumpster divers from Colorado. They grow their own produce on community land and use dumpster diving as a way to furnish their home. They are now involved with dumpster diving because it is the only way for them to actually effectively reduce their carbon footprint, and without this activity, they will be generating more carbon emissions than they wish to do in their entire life. Since dumpster diving became so popular, there are now numerous websites with tips and guidelines on how to dumpster dive safely. In addition to freegan.org.uk, there is emoware.org and many others. The general guidelines are as follows: wear dark clothing, bring a partner, wear gloves, bring a flashlight, and only dumpster dive between 10:30 p.m. and 5:30 a.m. If anybody approaches you, just tell them you were looking for boxes and were about to leave. They won't pester you because you're looking through trash, and they really won't have an issue unless you're trying to throw stuff in their garbages. It doesn't seem like there is or will be a slowdown in the amount of trash that is thrown away. So what can we do to reuse our consumer waste without resorting to dumpster diving? Good Samaritan laws permit businesses to donate food to hunger organizations and not be sued in cases of food poisoning. City Harvest is an organization in New York City that picks up leftover and unsold food from restaurants, grocery stores, cafeterias, and private homes, and delivers this food to community food programs on the very same day. It started when a group of private citizens noticed that grocery stores were throwing away food due to freshness, damaged packaging, and or because of expiration dates. Food Not Bombs is an anti-nuclear organization that protests against war and poverty that started in Cambridge, Massachusetts in 1980. They serve free vegan and vegetarian meals in public spaces, and all of this food comes from food pantries and food co-ops for free. They serve all these meals for free just so that they can help people get through their days and move on. Communities are also coming up with numerous strategies to reduce their negative waste. One of these solutions many towns have adopted is that they are deciding to ban dumpster diving because of fear of litter and fear of identity theft. Another thing communities are doing can be seen in colleges. Colleges have implemented year-end days where students can bring their goods they no longer wish, and all the proceeds are donated to a charity, and as well as all the items that are left over at the end of the day. Another organization is eBay, which perfectly demonstrates that one man's trash really is another man's treasure. Dumpster diving has raised people's awareness of the amount of waste we generate. It doesn't make sense to pass legislation against the divers as long as they don't litter, because then they are effectively reducing the amount of waste going to landfill. Hopefully now, you all see the legitimacy of dumpster diving and that we aren't powerless against waste.